One of the common talking points we often see or hear on the news is the rise of hate crimes in the United States. The environment Trump has created is causing all the hate in this country to be realized and acted upon. Do not let the lack of evidence or prosecution fool you. This is clearly a real thing. We hear it repeated all the time, but when you actually look at the basis for the claim, it's built upon a shaky foundation. I will grant there have been some significant examples of hate-motivated violence. Dylan Roof's mass shooting at the Black church in South Carolina and that recent white supremacist murder by sword in New York City come to mind. But those stories are anecdotal, and they don't contribute to the data that form the basis of this narrative of rising hate crime. Most of the time, what are these individual stories about? Hateful notes with mean racist words, ambiguous Nazi graffiti, racist messages in chalk that threaten students so long as it doesn't rain. Never really acts of violence, just markings. Aliens talk to us through crop circles, and apparently white supremacists talk to us through broken swastika sketches. And darn it, we just can't seem to catch either of them in the act itself. It seems by design that these incidents are both difficult to track and probably low priority for police investigation, and so we rarely see charges or convictions. If you look at the data used to support this narrative, usually two sources are cited. The first is the Southern Poverty Law Center's list, which includes reports submitted by their own web form, as well as information gathered on social media, whereas we all know everyone is always truthful and never exaggerates or fabricates anything for attention, as well as the FBI hate crime statistics, which are recent only as of 2015, so it makes no sense to blame Trump for them. But additionally, these data are reported hate incidents, not settled cases, reported incidents. So when you hear hate crimes are on the rise, understand you're being asked to accept two things. One, you're supposed to consider things like chalk markings and hasty graffiti as serious bias incidents. By this standard, every gas station bathroom stall I have ever been in is the scene of a hate crime. And two, that no matter your measure, we are talking about a rise in reports of hate crimes, not confirmed instances, not charges, not convictions, reports. And that matters. I can show you a rise in reported Bigfoot sightings. I can show you a rise in reported UFO sightings. That doesn't mean Bigfoot or alien activity is on the rise. Evidence still matters. But as Agent Mulder might say, the truth is out there. Never so often, we do get a case where we have hard evidence of who committed the alleged hate crime in question. This week, one of you emailed me one such case, an arson hate crime in Charlotte, North Carolina, committed against a refugee-owned grocery store. A local reporter on scene via Facebook Live gives us the details of what happened Thursday night.
Police say somebody set fire to this business on purpose and left behind a racist note. This happened around 10 o'clock. We're at the Central Market on Albemarle Road. Police say you punched out this window right here, taped the note to the door, and then left. So again, police are investigating this as an arson and a hate crime.
Well, geez, here's a case where we actually have some pretty serious property damage, some pretty significant harm done here. And as the reporter mentioned, there was a note left on the door cluing us in to the motive. Business owner. Our newly elected President Donald Trump is our nation builder for white America. You all know that we want our country back on the right track. We need to get rid of Muslims, Indians, and all immigrants. Especially, we don't want businesses run by refugees and immigrant anymore. Apparently, this nationalist speaks English as a second language, but we'll continue. Immigrants and refugee are taking our job, doing business, and leaving us standard. So you are not allowed to do business anymore. No leather trim, no heated seats, no power moonroof, just leaving us standard. Bastards. This is our warning. Leave the business and go back where you came from. If you don't follow this warning, then we are not responsible for the torture starting now. God bless America. Signed, white America. Okay, so we have some type of vandalism or arson done to this store. We have a note in broken English left at the scene on behalf of white America. But there's still one more key fact in this story.
There is security footage. You can see that there's a camera right here.
Surveillance camera, you say? Well, this whodunit is now solvable in short order. What can we see in the footage?
Now take a look at this surveillance video from Thursday night here. You can see the person throw a rock through the front door, then come back and throw something on fire through the window.
You can see a person committing that crime, yes. And what's notable about that person is he doesn't appear to be a white supremacist, unless white power fashion has changed recently to be more hip with the kids. So who is this guy?
Police say information led them to arrest Flournoy on Sunday. The store's owner told us he's glad for the arrest, but still worries about his safety.
Oh, okay. So the crime was committed by a black guy with a prior child abuse conviction, framing white people for the awful things they do. But hate crimes are on the rise in America, and it's clearly Donald Trump's bidding. Now, to me, based on the evidence we have here, it's perfectly reasonable to conclude this case was a hoax. This was a crime committed with the intent of framing somebody else, contributing to the conventional wisdom that white supremacists have been emboldened by Donald Trump and are targeting minorities across the country. But if you read the local newspaper, that's just a right-wing conspiracy theory. Internet conspiracies roil after hate crime by white America leads to black suspect, writes the Charlotte Observer. Headlines in the far-right media on Sunday insisted that the hate crime was faked, staged, and a hoax, based on their assumption that the suspect had a motive other than driving immigrants out. Charlotte police have not said what motivated the arson at Central Market, which comes at a time when efforts are being made to unite African American, immigrant, and LGBT groups into a single political bloc in the state. This includes an upcoming May 1st march and business boycott planned at Marshall Park that hopes to show a united front to city leaders. Well, how lovely and entirely unrelated. First off, it's not an assumption that he had a motive other than driving immigrants out. He explicitly framed white people and the President of the United States. That is not speculation. That is what he wrote, and that is what he left at the scene of the crime. To that extent, at least the act of framing other people as responsible is fraudulent. At least that act is staged as a hoax. Second, isn't it amazing that these news outlets accept reports of hate crimes without substantiating evidence? But the second the hate crime looks like a hoax, well, then they put their skeptic hats on. Ooh, hold on a second. We don't know this guy's motives. We don't know why he did it. He might, in fact, hate immigrants and refugees. Yeah, I guess there is the isolated black man for white power.
Just because I'm blind don't mean I'm dumb. White power!
But why the inconsistency in the skepticism? I agree, we should demand evidence for all claims and all conclusions. Maybe this guy was Chappelle inspired. But why is it ridiculous to question whether alleged hate crimes are hoaxes, especially given how many of them have been proven to be? But it's perfectly reasonable to question whether this guy is a black white supremacist flying on a pig across a frozen hellscape. I'm a broken record at this point, but consistency is key. Evidence always matters. Too often we embrace information that supports our preconceptions and accept that information without critical thought. And any information that doesn't suit our preconceptions, oh, well, that's got to have some flaws in it. Let's apply some critical thinking here. Let's apply some critical thinking always. Let's demand and follow the evidence always. Once conclusively demonstrated, let's accept the truth. Always. And if not, if narrative matters to you over evidence and reason and truth, then fine. You do you, I guess, but you have no business calling other people conspiracy theorists. You wouldn't know a conspiracy theory if it walked right up and spray painted a broken swastika on your garage door before disappearing into the night and never being brought to justice. Thanks as always for listening and for supporting this channel. Always appreciate that thoughtful discussion down below and especially over on Twitter. That is at ML Christiansen. You're always welcome to come hang out and chat in my live streams. Those are linked down in the description. Looking forward to it. Okay, bye.